Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Ardis. This is the Dr. Ardis Show. I hope you've had a great week. If you haven't caught up in the media, there's talks about measles spreading around the country. You might want to pay attention to the Dr. Ardis Show. We'll teach you what to do about that. Have you heard about this new disease X that everybody's talking about in the media and social media? Don't worry. The very first ever disease X was actually COVID-19. Disease X was a term the World Health Organization created in 2018 to describe any unidentified pathogen that might lead to a global pandemic. The first one was COVID. Well, we dismantled that one. You learned what that was. The next ones are going to be no different. So the one that they're seeing around the world right now is really behaving more like a bacterial pneumonia, easily handled also naturally. So stay tuned. Coming up after the break, this is Sexually Transmitted Disease and Sexual Health Month. And I created an incredible presentation you don't want to miss because it applies to everybody 12 years old and older in America. We'll be right back after these messages. Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Brian Ardis. This is the Dr. Ardis Show. And this entire presentation applies to anybody in America who's older than 18 years old. Really older than 12, probably, but it's kind of disappointing if people are struggling with this issue and they're younger than 18. All right, so this is an entire presentation that applies to everybody. This is such a big deal. You're going to realize just how big of a deal it is, but this applies to every individual in America that lives in an assisted living home, nursing home, independent living facility, anybody in college, anybody in high school, anybody in middle school, and I'm not joking. All right, so this is called STDs and Sexual Health Awareness Month. February 12th of 2024 is also called STDs and Reproductive Health Awareness Day. So I have an entire presentation here that is going to blow your mind. It blew my mind building this out and doing research on the behalf. If they're going to make you aware of drugs and vaccines that are the only options for those conditions called STDs or STIs, sexually transmitted infections or sexually transmitted diseases, they're going to tell you in the medical profession there's only drugs, antibiotics, antivirals, and vaccines. And that isn't true at all. In fact, I'm going to show you several different herbs, plants, and metals that they have proven completely remove the viruses that they call STDs that lead to cancers. It's pretty phenomenal. So I was so excited to show you this presentation. Remember, at the drardisnicotine.com, the entire PowerPoint presentation you can download for free from this video. And you can send it to anybody you know that's struggling with sexually transmitted diseases or infections or worries about them. And there are a lot. So the actual sponsors for this segment, you're going to learn why here in a very few awesome moments, I think. This is called our EDTA supplement. It's now in stock. Thank goodness. Thank you to Ed Group and his team helping make this possible for me. This is the microsomal technology, EDTA, that no one else on the planet has. And you're going to learn in this presentation some things I learned this week that I didn't even know about this substance and what it can do for sexually transmitted diseases. And I was blown away. There's one particular STD, sexually transmitted disease, that affects 82 million people worldwide. And this one supplement actually cures all of it. And they've already figured it out. They should have this version I have. All right. The next product that is sponsoring this show today is Foreign Protein Cleanse. Global Healing and Dr. Ed Group's team manufactured this for me. This is going to make up a large majority of the presentation on the second half of this show. It's called Foreign Protein Cleanse for a reason. Foreign proteins are any virus that doesn't belong inside your body. Therefore, all enveloped and non-enveloped viruses are called foreign proteins. Also, venoms are foreign proteins. They don't belong in your body. But if you or a loved one are on lisinopril, Ozempic, you name it, these are all venom-based drugs. You got the COVID-19 shots, you've got venom inside of you. You have been inflicted with foreign proteins, and this will help you get it out. All right, so Foreign Protein Cleanse and EDTA are the two sponsors for our show. Both can be acquired at the drardisnicotine.com, and I'm so excited to take you through this presentation. Remember, this applies to everybody watching this show. Even if you don't think you have this issue and you're not worried about it, someone you know is going to be confronted with this. I promise you, and you're going to see just how big of a problem this is. All right, so let me share my screen. Let's get to the presentations. You know how I typically operate. So here we go. Let's go to our presentation. All right, here we go. STD prevention and sexual health by yours truly, Dr. Brian Ardis. First thing we want to know, this is Sexual and Reproductive Health Awareness Day. The date is February 12th, 2024. It is a Monday. It will be. All right, so you see an image on the screen of a sperm. Looks like it's trying to swim inside of an egg of some sort. This is drugs.com and an article from them. Now we're going to switch over to an article that is actually on the World Health Organization's website discussing sexually transmitted infections, abbreviated STIs. So this first segment is going to be taking you through what we know about STDs, and I have an entire presentation built in on how STDs are a massively exponentially growing problem for the elderly and senior citizen populations. So this applies to all of you. Even if you aren't a senior citizen or elderly, you most likely know people that are or have relatives that are, and they should be aware of this information. All right, so let's read what the World Health Organization is saying is such a big problem with STIs. They have a profound impact on sexual and reproductive health worldwide, they state. I'm going to continue just reading every word of this scope of the problem. The World Health Organization says there's more than 1 million STIs are acquired every single day, every day. In 2020, the World Health Organization estimated 374 million new infections, with one of 4 STIs: chlamydia, affecting 129 million people worldwide; gonorrhea, affecting 82 million people worldwide; syphilis, affecting 7 million worldwide; and trichomoniasis, affecting 156 million people. There are more than 490 million people were estimated to be living with genital herpes in 2016 alone. That's half a billion people. And an estimated 300 million women have an HPV infection. That HPV stands for human papillomavirus, and they state that this is the primary cause of cervical cancer and anal cancer among men who have had sex with other men. An estimated 296 million people are living with chronic hepatitis B globally. Those are some big numbers. All right, so sexually transmitted infections, they continue, can have serious consequences beyond the immediate impact of the infection itself. What do they state you need to know about? First bullet point: STIs like herpes, gonorrhea, and syphilis can increase the risk of HIV acquisition or acquiring it. Number 2, mother-to-child transmission of sexually transmitted diseases can result in stillbirth, neonatal death, low birth weight and prematurity, sepsis, neonatal conjunctivitis, and congenital deformities. HPV infection, human papillomavirus, they say, can cause cervical and other cancers. Hepatitis B resulted in an estimated 820,000 deaths. That's 1 million deaths in 2019, mostly from cirrhosis, inflammation of the liver, and hepatocellular carcinoma, which is a big fancy word for liver cancer. STIs such as gonorrhea and chlamydia are major causes of pelvic inflammatory disease and infertility in women. Let's continue. Same article. Sexually and Reproductive Health Awareness Day is held annually on February 12th of every year to educate on sexual health issues and to reduce the spread of STIs, called sexually transmitted infections. What are the signs and symptoms of an STD, you might ask? In case you don't know, you may have one or more of the following for individuals who have any of the sexually transmitted diseases. Those are blisters, warts, sores, or a rash on your skin that may be painful. You could have discharge from the penis, vagina, or an anus that may have a foul smell. Fever, muscle pain, swollen lymph nodes in the groin, inflammation and itching, pelvic or abdominal pain, or pain during sex or when urinating, sore throat, mouth ulcers, or trouble swallowing. You also might have vaginal bleeding or spotting after sex if you're a woman. What increases your risk of getting sexually transmitted diseases? Well, first off, you have to have sex, I think. All right, so sex is number 1. Unprotected sex is number 2. Being a female. Can you believe that? Females by themselves are more at risk than males. Alcohol or illegal drug use, more than one sex partner, not being vaccinated against certain STIs. So if you weren't vaccinated, obviously you're more susceptible. A weak immune system and open sores or cuts, such as body piercings. How is an STD treated by the medical profession? Treatment depends on the STDs you have. Antibiotics may be given for a bacterial infection, like gonorrhea. Antivirals may be given for a viral infection, like remdesivir. Antifungals may be given for a fungal infection, such as a yeast infection. Early treatment may decrease the risk, they state, for certain cancers. Early treatment can also help prevent infertility. Well, that's great. What are they telling you are the only treatment options for STDs? I want you to look at the list. Isn't that weird? There's only 5 drugs. All right, so here's your treatment options. These are the following list of medications. They have one called Truvada, one called Biktarvy, and I might mispronounce all of these, and that's okay. Biktarvy, Descovy, Atripla, and cefotaxime. So cefotaxime. Who in the world makes up these flipping names? Oh my goodness. All right. Let's continue here. Here's an article from Health Grades. Look at the title. What seniors need to know about sexually transmitted diseases. Now, this was actually written February 6th of 2021. Read the blue highlighted sentence. According to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, rates of the three most serious sexually transmitted diseases, chlamydia, gonorrhea, and syphilis, all have risen in the senior population over the past 5 years. Experts speculate that sexually transmitted rates may be rising within the over 65 age group for a number of reasons. They state the availability of medications to treat erectile dysfunction in men and vaginal dryness in women may keep people sexually active longer than in past decades, which increases the chance of acquiring an STD. Okay, so now they're going to tell you that because there are drugs available, drugs to correct erectile dysfunction and vaginal dryness, that this is making people be able to have sex in older ages, and it's increasing their risk of getting sexually transmitted diseases. Well, thank you, medical profession, for erectile dysfunction drugs and vaginal dryness. I had no idea it was your fault. All right. Let's continue. Sorry. Other adults also may see no need for birth control, older adults, so they forego condom usage without considering how barrier protection might spare them from getting an STD. Well, I can understand that one. All right, next one. Over the past 5 years, they state data regarding men and women over age 65 show. First bullet point in blue, chlamydia cases have nearly doubled from 6,801 infections reported in 2013 to 13,534 in 2017. This is in America, by the way. Gonorrhea cases almost tripled, going from 4,627 to 12,930 in the senior citizen group older than 65. Syphilis cases more than doubled from 912 to 1935 in the same time span from 2013 to 2017. That's just 4 years. All right, so senior citizens, y'all are having fun. I'm excited for you. I want you to have a very active and amazing sex life. That's what I want. But I also want you doing it without any kind of fear or conversations in your banquet halls where you're having your dinners or out with friends. I don't want y'all having to talk about your worries about sexually transmitted diseases. That's ridiculous. And I'm going to show you why. I don't need you worrying about that. All right, so these are STD symptoms that all seniors should know. All right, so chlamydia, we're going to start here. We're going to start with chlamydia on the next slide. A part of starting any new sexual relationship, says healthgrades.com, involves each partner sharing their intimate history, including any current or previous STDs. Nope, that is not true. I would not say the first thing to do when you're going to have sex with somebody is to talk about the viruses and stuff you're afraid of. That's weird. All seniors having sex with new partners also should know common STD symptoms in order to seek prompt medical attention if needed. All right, so we'll cover the symptoms. Here's chlamydia. What do you need to know about chlamydia? All you senior citizens out there, and for all you listening that have grandparents, what your grandparents should know. Talk to them about this. See if they have any burning sensation when they urinate, discharge from the penis or vagina. In men, pain or burning during the urethral opening or pain or swelling in one or both testicles. And in women, there could be pain during intercourse, could be a sign or symptom of chlamydia. Chlamydia, here's just an infographic, includes painful ejaculation, painful intercourse, penile discharge and vaginal discharge, testicular pain and swelling, and then vaginal bleeding for the female. What about syphilis? Syphilis symptoms for all senior citizens and those of you who have senior citizen grandparents. A sore in the genital area, mouth or lips that heals within 3 to 12 weeks. That's a long time. That's 3 months. Occasionally a swollen lymph node near the site of the sore. They can have fever, loss of appetite, nausea, and fatigue beginning within 12 weeks of the sore's appearance. There should be no itchy skin rash on hands or feet. They're not itchy, but this is what syphilis looks like on your hands and feet. What senior citizens should know about preventing STDs. All right, so older adults should not necessarily avoid physical intimacy just to prevent getting an STI, even though abstaining from sex is the surest way to prevent infection. If you plan to embark on a new sexual relationship, try these strategies, they say, for STD prevention. Well, you're going to learn right after the commercial break coming up here in a few minutes what it is that is known and published in the mainstream medical journals are natural cures for almost every single STD. But you're not going to read about it here. But here we go. So this is what they say about preventing STDs, senior citizens. Number one, avoid engaging in sexual relations with multiple partners, as this increases your risk of getting an STD. Number two, have a frank discussion with your doctor or gynecologist about your plans. I guess you need to go talk to your doctor about who you're going to have sex with and how many people first. I mean, I guess your medical doctor is the only person you should consult in your entire life about every decision you've ever made in your whole life. So crazy. Your doctor can evaluate your current sexual health. Yeah, because that's what MDs are trained in, and suggest methods for preventing STDs. Okay. Know that both men and women can get an STD through oral sex too. Don't engage in this type of intimacy unless you feel confident about your partner's sexual history, disclosure, and current sexual health status. Learn the proper way to use a condom. You put it on. That's what you do with it. You can find many videos online that demonstrate how to put it on and remove this important barrier against STDs. Well, just, condoms do not prevent STDs. You can read the warning on the labels. Understand that condoms do not protect you from herpes or human papillomavirus, which is a sexually transmitted disease, or genital warts. All right, so it has very limited possible potential protection. And a condom does not provide 100% protection against other STDs either. I gave you that warning before I even read it to you off the screen. All right. Gonorrhea symptoms, senior citizens, may produce mild symptoms or none at all early on. In men, you will start to experience pain with urination and or discharge from your penis. In women, pain with urination and or discharge from the vagina, spotting or bleeding is also possible. All right, now let's get into the drugs that they are promoting, or the only drugs they listed as treatment for STDs medically. All right, so what is Truvada? This is one of the lists on the drugs I read off a minute ago and said, who comes up with these names? All right, so Truvada is an antiviral combined medicine that is used together with other HIV medications to treat children and adults with HIV. HIV can cause AIDS. Truvada is not a cure for HIV or AIDS. Just know that. Now, I want y'all to know, I want you to look at the label on the image. Truvada is a drug made by a company called Gilead. Do you know what Gilead's first drug ever made and brought to market was? Remdesivir. I wouldn't trust a damn thing Gilead makes. All right, so Truvada is this drug. You'll see it on the screen. What are some of its published side effects? They state here, get emergency medical help if you have signs of an allergic reaction to Truvada, which would include hives, difficulty breathing, swelling of your face, lips, tongue, or throat. Now, I just want you to know all of the symptoms I'm about to read to you that are side effects of Truvada and these other drugs are not side effects of getting the virus they are telling you you need to take this drug for. So the drug has all of the effects I'm about to read to you, but the STD itself does not have these symptoms. All right, so if you take Truvada for a virus that you acquired through sexual activity, you might have any of these symptoms come up as a result of the treatment. You might have hives, difficulty breathing, swelling of your face, lips, tongue, or throat. You also might have signs of a new infection, they say, coming from Truvada, meaning you will have symptoms of a fever, night sweat, swollen glands, cold sores, cough, wheezing, diarrhea, and weight loss. You know what else these are symptoms of? Poisoning by a chemical poison. Trouble speaking or swallowing, another poisoning symptom. Problems with balance or eye movement, another symptom of poisoning. Weakness or prickly feeling. Okay. Swelling in your neck or throat, enlarged thyroid. They're going to call it thyroid cancer or thyroid goiter. In any case, they're going to radiate your thyroid or cut it out. This is a side effect of Truvada, but they're not going to tell you this is coming from the drug. And impotence is another one. Well, all of you out there trying to have sex with other people, you don't want to be impotent, but the drug they're telling you to treat it will make you impotent. And also menstrual changes. You know what menstrual changes look like? No menstrual cycle or excessive bleeding, which supposedly is a side effect of the STD they're treating you for. It's also a published side effect of the drug they want to give you. All right, let's continue. They also say that when you start Truvada from Gilead, you could actually have new HIV infection symptoms. Well, that's great. I thought you were trying to prevent HIV. You're going to make me have HIV symptoms? It also says kidney problems, sudden or unusual bone pain. I'm sure every senior citizen wants that. Liver problems, swelling around your midsection, right side, upper stomach pain, loss of appetite, dark urine, clay-colored stools, jaundice, yellowing of the skin or eyes. That's liver failure symptoms. Then they continue. Truvada also has common side effects like headache, sleep problems, insomnia, strange dreams, dizziness. I'm sure every elderly and senior citizen in assisted living homes and nursing homes around the country, y'all would all love to be more dizzy, wouldn't you? While on your high blood pressure drug that's dropping your blood pressure so low you're dizzy and have vertigo. Well, if you just add Truvada, it'll make you more dizzy. If you like your world spinning 24/7. Diarrhea, nausea, stomach pain, weight loss, or rash. What about Biktarvy? Biktarvy is another drug. It's a complete HIV-1 treatment in a once-a-day single tablet containing 3 antiviral drugs. And you see the names there: bictegravir, imactrovine, and tenofovir. Your ability to pronounce that is as good as mine. No one knows how to say this. All right, so what do we need to know about this Biktarvy drug? Oh, look at the very first thing listed in bold: kidney problems. All right, so any of y'all have any kidney issues and on lisinopril or Lasix drugs, senior citizens, or any humans? If you've been told you have kidney failure or kidney problems, Biktarvy for STDs has 3 drugs that are known to cause kidney problems. In fact, if you read the next statement, it says new or worse kidney problems, comma, including kidney failure. Oh, thanks. Ask your doctor if kidney failure is right for you if they prescribe Biktarvy for your herpes. How about that? Look at the list of other side effects: little or no urination, swelling in your feet or ankles. Anybody want those, ladies? You want swollen ankles? So ridiculous. Loss of appetite, stomach area or pain, dark tea-colored urine. Now let's go to Descovy. There's the drug in front of you. It's an antiviral drug for HIV medications for adults and children starting at 12 years old and older. Descovy. It creates signs of a new infection you see in bold: fever, night sweat, swollen glands, cold sores, cough, wheezing, diarrhea, and weight loss. Trouble speaking or swallowing. I'm not sure anybody 12-year-old and older wants that issue. Swelling in your neck or throat. Again, enlarged thyroid. You're going to be diagnosed with goiters, surgery required, chemo, radiation, you name it. You're going to have symptoms of a new HIV infection with this drug also. All the exact same side effects I just listed for the previous drug are also side effects of this drug. What about a tripla? A tripla is 3 different drugs. Again, what does it do? Oh, seizures, unusual thoughts or behavior. Call your doctor at once, it says right on the screen. If you have severe depression, thoughts of hurting yourself or others, and hallucinations, and kidney problems, seizures, liver problems are all side effects of a tripla, an STD drug your MD is going to prescribe to you. It causes dizziness, nausea, headache, sleep problems, rash, changes in the shape or location of body fat. Yeah, y'all want different parts of your body getting fat, don't you? Not the normal areas. There's the drug: signs of new infection, trouble speaking or swallowing, swelling up thyroid too. All right, now here's cefotaxime. I don't even know how to pronounce it. All the same side effects. Cefotaxime. Don't even know that. All right, so we're going to wrap up this segment with this. Did you know there are 30 different bacteria, viruses, and parasites that are known to be transmitted through sexual contact? And did you know of those 30 different bacteria, viruses, and parasites, 8 of these are linked to the greatest incidence of sexually transmitted diseases? 8 of the 30 represent the most. 4 of the 8 are currently curable. They say syphilis, gonorrhea, chlamydia, and trichomoniasis, which is a parasite. 4 of them, 8, are viral infections and are incurable, they say, which is hepatitis B, herpes simplex virus, HIV, and human papillomavirus. Well, you're about to learn in this presentation, none of those statements are true. This comes from the medical profession. But you're going to learn what the research says about each of these conditions and that they are curable. We're going to introduce you to those. I'm going to introduce you to those on the opposite side of this commercial break. We'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back from the commercial break. I'm Dr. Brian Ardis. Let's continue this presentation on STDs and Sexual Health Awareness Month. All right, this segment's going to be brought to you by these 3 supplements of mine. Immune C, which is vitamin C. It's also being brought to you by my Zinc Plus product. You're going to learn why here in just a minute. It's phenomenal for STDs. All right, but I want to show you why. I know that. And then my product, Dox Viral Defense, one of our most popular products. So proud of formulated that 3 years ago to help people combat the supply chain issues and make sure that our audiences had something they could trust and acquire while there were lockdowns, mandates, and a whole bunch of fear tactics being promoted throughout the world. All right, so let's get back into our presentation. We're talking about STDs. I just went through the scope of the problem worldwide. I also introduced you to senior citizens having an exponentially increased rate of STDs being diagnosed. What are the symptoms of the most common STDs everybody needs to know about? And then I went into the top 5 antiviral drugs and their published side effects, which have symptoms worse than your STDs. So ask your doctor if any of those worse problems are right for you instead of the worry of a rash, itch, whatever it might be. All right, so let's get back into it, because now we get into the first part of this presentation was to educate you on what the medical profession wants you to believe about STDs and what are the only ways to prevent it and treat them. This next part is all about restoring your faith in nature and what has been proven through science and research. that natural substances outperform those drugs I just put on the screen. We ended with this slide. 30 different bacteria and viruses and parasites are causing sexually transmitted diseases. 8 of those 30 are linked to the greatest incidences of sexually transmitted diseases. 4 of the 8 are currently curable, they say: syphilis, gonorrhea, chlamydia, and trichomoniasis, which is a parasite. 4 are viral infections, they say, are incurable: hepatitis B, herpes simplex virus, HIV, and human papillomavirus. All right, so first thing I want to get into, if you remember at the very beginning of this presentation, I said this entire presentation is being brought to you by a product, a supplement I have called EDTA. Now, this is a published study from 2019 that, in blue, you'll read the title: in vitro, this means in a laboratory, the activity of EDTA and a substance called TOL 463 against the bacteria that is called gonorrhea. All right, so what they discovered in 2019: Neisseria gonorrhea is a commonly sexually transmitted bacterial pathogen. It's a bacteria that has progressively developed resistance to antibiotics recommended for gonorrhea treatment. Now, this is not actually true. All of you following me, they've designed genetically infused what are called DNA plasmids, and they introduce those to bacteria. And inside the plasmid, it has genetic instructions to the bacteria to now become antibiotic resistant. So this is something the medical profession and scientific community are creating. And then they're telling you that these bacteria are just continuing to run rampant, and we don't know why, but they're not responding to antibiotics anymore. They're becoming antibiotic resistant. No, the resistance is being engineered to antibiotic. Why don't they want you using antibiotics? Because most of them are off patent. So now they can sell you other drugs that they can patent for bigger money to cure these diseases that they want you to believe are incurable or not reacting anymore to their antibiotic treatment. Okay, I don't want to stay on that too long. Let's read the blue highlighted sentence. Preliminary experiments identified 1 milligram for every milliliter of boric acid, abbreviated BA, and also reads Brian Ardis. Boric acid plus 1 milligram for every milliliter of EDTA as the minimum inhibitory concentration against both gonorrhea strains after 24 hours of incubating them together. So they took a petri dish and put boric acid and EDTA in with gonorrhea bacteria. And they found that this 1 milligram per milliliter of EDTA and 1 milligram of boric acid combination was the minimum amount required to inhibit the concentration of gonorrhea bacteria. It's a very small amount. Furthermore, they state by itself, 1 milligram per milliliter of EDTA alone completely inhibited both gonorrhea strains. Now, this is awesome. This EDTA product that I have, they just did a study in 2019 and said they were doing a study with boric acid combined with EDTA, exposing it to gonorrhea bacteria, and it worked to inhibit the growth and replication of the bacteria. So it was killing the bacteria and stopping the infection. Well, that's phenomenal. However, when they took EDTA by itself and gave it to these individuals and put it, sorry, not in the individuals, when they put it in the petri dish with gonorrhea, it completely destroyed both strains of gonorrhea all by itself. So when they tell you antibiotics aren't working against gonorrhea, you should just know they already figured out in 2019, EDTA by itself destroys gonorrhea bacteria. Both strains they've tested. Boric acid alone by itself at concentrations ranging from 1 milligram to 10 was tested with no impact on growth. All right, so remember, they did this study and they actually took boric acid and then they combined that with EDTA, gave it to the bacteria, and the bacteria was inhibited. It stopped growing. So then what they did is they wanted to know, was it boric acid or the EDTA that we put in the petri dish that worked? So they took boric acid by itself, put it in the petri dish, and read the statement right there. Boric acid alone at concentrations ranging from 1 milligram all the way to 10, which is 10 times more boric acid than the boric acid EDTA combination from the sentence above, was tested with no impact on growth. That means it just continued to grow and proliferate. So the gonorrhea continued to persist. So boric acid in the combination with EDTA had no impact on growth. It was actually the EDTA all by itself. Read the sentence above. 1 milligram of EDTA alone completely inhibited both strains. Interestingly, they write that TOL-463 and EDTA alone inhibited SPL4 and F18 time points to the same extent or greater than 3 antibiotics they tested against gonorrhea. That means now they took this substance, TOL-463, and added EDTA to it, and by itself, that EDTA combination alone inhibited the 2 strains of gonorrhea to the same extent or greater than the 3 antibiotics they were using. So EDTA worked better. That TOL-463 is a boric acid component. This is them laying it out for you what they did, but it outperformed the combination did. Remember, EDTA by itself destroyed the whole bacteria. The combination of the two still did it, but it was greater than the performance of the 3 antibiotics, which I find amazing. So here's the EDTA that we sell at the drardisnicotine.com. It's what I'm holding here in my hand. I was just showing you guys. All right, new and improved microsomal calcium EDTA supplement. I recommend two dropperfuls every single day of EDTA. Licorice licks herpes virus infection. Licorice licks herpes virus infection. I want to reiterate that. This is from March of 2005. They've known this for almost 20 years. Omela Floor and colleagues from New York University School of Medicine show for the first time that it is possible to interfere with the herpes virus latency. This is the period where herpes is not on the surface of your skin, causing cold sores and shingles outbreaks. So this scientist, Omela Floor, at the New York University School of Medicine, with her colleagues, for the first time, they were able to discover that it is possible to interfere with the herpes virus latency period by inhibiting the expression of something called Kaposi sarcoma associated herpes virus latent genes, abbreviated KSHV, is the virus that is associated with Kaposi sarcoma, which is a cancer, a disease characterized by tumors and tissues below the surface of the skin, often found in patients with immunodeficiencies like HIV and AIDS. These investigators demonstrate that a compound found in licorice root, it's called glycyrrhizic acid, can kill cells that are latently hiding infected with this KS herpes virus. Glycyrrhizin acid induces cell death by altering the levels of proteins involved in latency, like LANA and vancomycin V cyclin. All right, so I want to highlight something out of this statement. The investigators demonstrated that a compound found in licorice called glycyrrhizic acid can kill cells that are latently infected with herpes. So everybody on the planet who has cold sores that come back and forth during the year, have shingles that show up back and forth during the year. Those periods where you don't have the symptom, there's nothing on the surface of your skin, and it just recedes back into your body after a few weeks and just sits there dormant for years or months at a time. This substance, glycyrrhizic acid in licorice root, is actually able to kill those cells, destroying the virus from ever being inside the body anymore. Isn't that amazing? Then you won't get cold sores anymore. You shouldn't get shingles anymore ever again. Do you know what that's in licorice root? It's inside my foreign protein cleanse, which is why I said this is the second sponsor of this show. Inside foreign protein cleanse, you'll see the second ingredient is organic licorice root. The actual component isolated from licorice root we put in there is glycyrrhizin acid. Why did we put it in there? Because the blood clotting effect of snake venom and spike proteins of COVID are actually published to be completely destroyed by licorice root's glycyrrhizin acid. So this was the second ingredient we put in our product. This also helps clear herpes from everybody on the planet, even the cells that the virus is hiding inside of, and you're not even aware it's there. There's your foreign protein cleanse. There's the actual supplement facts panel. Organic licorice root is underlined. Now I want to take you to the first ingredient that I put in here. It's called wild crafted lobelia. Lobelia has another name. It's called it's called Indian tobacco. All right, so look at this study from 2008. Efficacy, the effectiveness of orally in the mouth administered lobelia extracts on herpes simplex virus type 1 infection. What did they find? Extracts of lobelia significantly blocked herpes simplex virus 1 replication in HeLa cells without any apparent cell toxicity, called cytotoxicity. Animals infected, animals including humans, in scientific terms, humans and animals are related to be the same. Animals infected with HSV1, it's called herpes simplex virus 1, that causes cold sores and fever blisters, developed progressive zoster lesions starting 2 days after having the infection. The progressive zoster is shingles. Shingles is caused by what's called the herpes simplex virus. Herpes zoster virus, sorry. So it developed progressive zoster lesions within 2 days after these animals were infected with herpes simplex virus 1. The herpes simplex virus 1 titers and DNA levels in ground skin samples were significantly reduced by Lobelia chinensis, LC abbreviated. Significantly reduced. No toxic effect of Lobelia on liver or kidney functions was apparent. These results indicated that Lobelia was a potent inhibitor of the in vitro in a lab and in the body in vivo replication of HSV1. So at a bare minimum, everybody should be taking Lobelia. Well, Lobelia and licorice root are the first 2 ingredients that I found in studies are able to prevent sexually transmitted herpes. What about organic lemon balm that's in my product called Foreign Protein Cleanse? So I looked it up. There's a name of the herb. In English, they call it lemon balm. The Latin name for this herb is called Melissa officinalis. This is a study from 2008. Inhibitory or blocking activity of lemon balm extract on herpes simplex virus type 2 replication. What did they publish? Melissa officinalis, otherwise known as lemon balm in parentheses, is used in folk medicine for nervous complaints, lower abdominal disorders, and more recently for treating herpes simplex lesions, fever blisters and cold sores, and shingles. Lemon balm showed to reduce the cytopathic effect of the cell infective effect of herpes simplex virus 2 on vero cells in the range of non-toxic concentrations. And they give you the doses, the little bitty doses of lemon balm that did it. Our experiments support the use of lemon balm for treating herpes simplex virus and encourage clinical trials on this medicinal plant. Well, rock and roll. Here's another study from 2008. Melissa officinalis oil affects infectivity of enveloped herpes viruses. Okay, great. Let's see what they said and what they found in this study in the same year. Extracts and essential oils of medicinal plants are increasingly of interest as novel drugs of antimicrobial and antiviral agents. Since herpes simplex virus might develop resistance to commonly used antiviral agents, the antiviral effect of lemon balm, the essential oil of Melissa officinalis on herpes simplex virus, was examined. What did they find? The inhibitory activity against herpes simplex virus type 1 and type 2 was tested in a lab on monkey kidney cells using a plaque reduction assay. Whatever that means. Only Judy Mikovits knows what that means. In the lab. All right. So at non-toxic levels of the oil, plaque formation in the veins and arteries was significantly reduced by 98.8%. I said in your blood vessels, plaque in the lab. They found it reduced by 98% of HSV1 and 97% for HSV2, just with lemon balm. Higher concentrations of lemon, you got to read this. Higher concentrations of lemon balm oil abolished viral infectivity nearly completely. That means the virus was completely destroyed and couldn't infect another cell at all at higher concentrations of lemon balm, above this amount at the end of this sentence. These results indicate that lemon balm affected the virus before absorption, but not after penetration into the host cell. Thus, lemon balm oil is capable of exerting a direct antiviral effect on the herpes simplex virus. Considering the lipophilic nature of lemon balm essential oil, which enable it to penetrate the skin, which Foreign Protein Cleanse can be put on the skin, and a high selectivity index, Melissa officinalis oil or lemon balm might be suitable for topical treatment of herpetic infections. Yes, I would recommend putting Foreign Protein Cleanse externally on any area where you have a breakout of herpes zoster, shingles, on the fever blisters, cold sores, and taking it orally every day to prevent it. That's lemon balm. What about copper? Inhibition of herpes simplex virus, which is a sexually transmitted disease, by copper. They state here, there's accumulating reports of the emergence of drug-resistant strains of herpes simplex virus. Therefore, it's pressing that we find new treatments. This concentration of copper was associated with an 83% inhibition rate, which was estimated based on the herpes simplex virus viral load compared to virus control. So copper helped reduce it. Our findings demonstrate that copper are associated with a significant antiviral potency against herpes. This feature shows strong potential for copper to be used in topical formulations for the treatment of orolabial or genital herpetic lesions. Anything on the vaginal area, penile area, any genital herpes, copper can be used topically to treat it. That's what they found. Foreign protein cleanse has copper in it, liquid form. There it is. What about liquid gold? Antiviral effect of gold nanoparticles against herpes. What'd they find? Only that these results, read the last sentence. These results show that AU, which is gold, can be considered a potential candidate for the treatment of herpes. Isn't that amazing? This is the rest of that. I'm actually running out of time, so I'm going to actually introduce you to several other herbs that we know they've actually discovered work for all sexually transmitted diseases. Antiviral herbs for them to be considered outside of EDTA and foreign protein cleanse: elderberry, calendula, echinacea, garlic, astragalus, and licorice root. L-lysine at 1,000 milligrams 3 times a day can help treat and prevent outbreaks. Lemon balm extract, vitamin C at 1,000 milligrams daily, zinc at 30 milligrams twice daily, and then B complex, 50 milligrams. Zinc, I want to focus on higher concentrations of zinc after 2 hours of incubation with chlamydia significantly decrease the number of inclusions. The direct effect of zinc on chlamydia remained constant after further repassage of the chlamydia without supplementing zinc, suggesting a lethal effect of the zinc on chlamydia. So you stop supplementation and still the zinc killed the chlamydia. All right, so here's our Zinc Plus product at the Dr. Ardis Show. I would recommend Zinc Plus. Here you'll see it's got vitamin C, bioflavonoids, rutin, and you see all those various herbs that are in there. Dox Viral Defense has zinc, selenium, which is also amazing for HIV and other transmitted diseases, and boosting your immune system, N-acetylcysteine, quercetin, betaine anhydrous. And this is a combination that people can take. I created it basically for the seasonal viruses, but it can be used there. Now for chlamydia, which is another STD, I want you to see that there are a list of 5 herbs they have found that also, I already read them off to you, but there's 5 herbs that you could consider to include as a treatment for chlamydia and other sexually transmitted diseases. Golden seal is one. They actually found in a small clinical study that chlamydia of the eye resulted in no relapses even 1 year after treatment with eye drops made from berberine, which is inside golden seal, the plant. Echinacea, I want to read this to you. This is phenomenal, I think. It's been highly effective against STDs, including gonorrhea and chlamydia. In fact, they say down here, they found recent research recommends doses of 10 milligrams for every 2.2 pounds of body weight over a 10-day period is enough to treat gonorrhea and chlamydia of echinacea. What about garlic? Raw garlic has also been proven, have identified allicin as the compound in garlic that has antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal, and anti-protozoa parasite features. Oil of oregano is another one found. 1,200 studies showing that it fights certain types of cancers, viruses, infections, and many other conditions. What about probiotics like kombucha and amacia? They help with fighting chlamydia and other bad bacterium that lead to these conditions. These are 5 other considerations you can have to help anybody with STDs get over it. These are natural treatments for gonorrhea symptoms. You'll see the list down there: berberine, golden seal, apple cider vinegar, echinacea, Epsom salt, L-arginine. Remember, this entire presentation is free. Underneath the patient resources tab, you can actually print out this entire free PDF of all my slides for easy reference. These are the 5 things that we offer at the drardisnicotine.com that have all I presented here have studies supporting their effectiveness at preventing multiple sexually transmitted diseases. It's as simple as supplementing with EDTA, foreign protein cleanse, zinc, vitamin C. Also consideration is Dox Viral Defense. You do not have to do all 5 of these. At a bare minimum, EDTA and the foreign protein cleanse I would recommend. And for those of you who have a hard time with liquids or don't want to do that, Dox Viral Defense is a great option, or you can put every single liquid we create inside empty vegetable capsules. You do not have to live with STDs. You do not have to live in fear of STDs either. So that is what I wanted to present to you today. All right, this is the stuff I wanted to present to you. Remember, share this far and wide with anybody you know that's struggling with chlamydia, gonorrhea, syphilis, herpes of any kind. There are actually naturally published solutions to those. I'm Dr. Ardis. My goal is to create doubt in big pharma and restore faith in nature. I hope this presentation did that. We will see you next week, and God bless.